So thinking about it, it's like, all right, the phone. There's a lot of good principles if you go back and you listen to the teachings before that kind of go into this, especially Seth's on the living room. I know he had a whole lot of stuff to get through on that. But everything we're building up as men individually, but as leaders of home and in your marriage, thinking about the cell phone. So raise a hand who here says, Mike, I've got to use my phone for work. Good majority of us, especially post-pandemic, where you got the work from home. Now your cell phone, man, it's an extension of you. You know, I've got work email listed here. I've got our Microsoft Teams chat, so when people are just instant messaging each other on work for any questions, or if they need to get a hold of me and it's not through an email, that's on my phone. LinkedIn, all of those items. So for me, yeah, the phone is huge. It's keeping it for work in case someone wants to get a hold of me or call me. So when we're talking about the phone, we could quickly sum it up. Greg and I were talking just before this. Just throw it away. Good. All right. Let's walk out of here. We'll be on the same page. There is that realm where somebody's going to be like, when it comes to cell phone, it's basically having like poison in your pocket. You might as well dump it. Then there's some of us, you go, the anxiety that would overcome me if I didn't have my phone. I mean, my work, other things. Like you might have like legitimate reasons. If you didn't have a cell phone, you might like, if I don't have a cell phone, I might not be employable at what I do, just because it's an extension of work. There's those that are younger. If I say something like, let's chuck the phone, they're overcome with anxiety because there's so much connected to the phone. I was younger and cell phones were a thing, in high school, the Motorola Razr, remember that? Just sleek looking, nice. You had to be really good at T9 on the texting. You younger kids, you don't even know what that means. But you had T9 texting on it. Then the Sidekick came out, so it gave you a full keyboard. It was texting was huge. And I remember when my father, I was like a junior in high school, and I said, hey, can I get a cell phone? And he goes, no. I was like, Dad, everybody else has a cell phone. And he's like, well, I don't like you enough to give you a cell phone. You know, the Lord told me I have to love you. He didn't say I have to like you a lot. And I don't like you that much. That's just the way my dad spoke to us when we were kids. I was like, hey, I mean, like I brought up another thing, like, hey, what if I have to get a hold of you? He goes, where are you going to be that I don't know where you're at? I'm like, okay, that's a good question. What if I'm at my buddy Janob's house and stuff? He goes, does his parents not have a phone? I was like, all right, that's pretty good. Okay. Not until I departed for college, basically. Right there, it's, you know, all right, here's a cell phone. Make sure you call home, talk to mom and talk to dad. And then I think summer of '07 is when the first iPhone came out. And that was starting to really change things up. Because before, calling, texting, big thing about your cell phones. Who remembers, like, on most phone plans, hey, let me call you after 9. It's 3 minutes. Or you might get the cell phone carrier, Sprint, others are like, ooh, I got you at 7. So I'll call you at 7. Like, you might answer the phone quick and be like, it's my girlfriend, hey, can I call you, like, in 30 minutes? It's 3 minutes. And you put it up. I mean, the cell phone used to be more just it was those items about how we can talk to each other, and everything's changed with the cell phones. Now, it is your computer. It is the way you interact socially. It tells you stuff that we get to a point where it's pretty dangerous today. So I use my cell phone a lot. When I look at different things on how my use is, it's on me all the time. Even on the back here, I've got like a QR code for my job. You got to talk to Mike, your personal insurance dude, just take a QR scan of that. It'll give you everything you need to get a hold of me. And that's on my person, so I don't have to give you a quick business card or something like that. It's just a part of us. Has anybody freaked out when you realized you have left the house and the cell phone is back home? Yeah, you just start going, oh no, oh my goodness. I mean, you may have a legitimate reason, like, oh, now my wife's supposed to call me for a grocery list. I don't have my phone. Others, especially those that are younger, it just changes the way you're going to interact, and you're freaking out because it's not normal. You feel naked. It's weird nowadays. It's a legit thing called the ghost ring. You feel your phone, you think it just vibrated, and there's nothing in your pocket. Your body's just used to something here. They got a study on that. So the cell phone today, when we talk about it, for some of you here, you're thinking, I'm good. Man, I hate the thing. I hate the existence of the phone. Okay. Bob laughs because Bob called me the other week, and Bob used a landline. And in his voicemail to me, he goes, Mike, I'm just old-fashioned. I'm just leaving you a voicemail from the landline. I didn't know if you were on something. And so I think you left the house, and I called back, and sure enough, I'm calling the landline at Bob's house. But for some people, man, you don't have that connection there. You may know somebody that's too addicted to their phone. And you got others, you sit and you war with the idea of how much do I use my phone. So today, we'll work through some questions and some considerations. You know, first thing I want us to think, and it's going to sound really easy, maybe too elementary for us, but when we think about using something like our phone, which is a utility, which is a tool we can use, my mind goes to 1 Corinthians 10:31, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, now here, after that, how I use my cell phone, do all to the glory of God. Then you think of the idea of let your conversation be holy for Philippians. Let it be filled with grace, sprinkle, have that saltiness, your conversation, how we interact. Those ideas come to the forefront when it comes to how do we use our phone. The part is, how do I use my phone and have a clear conscience that I can do so to the glory of God? That this will be answered by how you manage it, and if it's something that's enslaved you, or how has it influenced your marriage? How has it negatively affected your marriage? Your use of phone with your family, with your children, has it negatively affected that? And if it has, then maybe we look at that idea of, is this used to the glory of God? Well, there's some areas that it is hindering me serving my purpose as a father or a husband to the glory of God. Thus, I need to reflect on my use of the phone. But I want to have everybody participate kind of in a questionnaire here. This is from the Center of Internet and Tech Addiction, okay? The Smartphone Compulsion Test. I'm going to ask you a number of questions. In your mind, whenever you say yes, keep count of that, okay? Don't say yes out loud because I don't want to be distracted by everybody judging each other. Oh, shoot, he said yes. Oh, okay. First one. Do you find yourself spending more time on your cell phone than you realize? Number two. Do you find yourself mindlessly passing time on a regular basis by staring at your cell phone? 3, do you seem to lose track of time when on your cell phone? 4, do you find yourself spending more time texting, tweeting, or emailing as opposed to talking to people in person? Has the amount of time you spend on cell phone been increasing? Do you wish you could be less involved with your phone? Do you sleep with your cell phone turned on, under your pillow, or right next to your bed regularly? Do you find yourself viewing and answering texts, tweets, and emails at all hours of the day and night, even when it means interrupting other things you were doing? Do you text, email, tweet, or surf while driving or doing other similar activities that require your focused attention and concentration? Do you feel your use of your cell phone decreases your productivity at times? Do you feel reluctant to be without your cell phone, even for a short time? Do you feel ill at ease or uncomfortable when you accidentally leave your phone in the car or at home, or have no service or have a broken phone? When you eat meals, is your cell phone always part of the table place setting? When your cell phone rings, beeps, or buzzes, do you feel an intense urge to check for texts, tweets, emails, and updates, and etc.? Last question. Do you find yourself mindlessly checking your cell phone many times a day, even when you know there is likely nothing new or important to see? So hopefully you'll be keeping track of the yeses. Maybe some of you guys, you said I've lost count. If you said yes 1 to 2 times, according to this survey, your behavior is normal and you don't have a compulsion problem. If you said yes 3 or 4 times, your behavior is leaning toward problematic or compulsive. If you're north of 5, if you're between 5 and 8, it is likely you may have a problematic or compulsive smartphone use pattern. If it's 8 or higher, if you're above 8, if you're 9 or higher, you might consider seeing a psychologist, psychiatrist, or psychotherapist who specializes in behavioral addictions for a consultation. Then there's a disclaimer. This is just to get a conversation going with someone. So I'm not medically diagnosing anybody. But let me tell you, I was like, oh. Quickly, I was like, I don't got a problem. I did this, and I was like, oh, that was that's high. And the thing is, nowadays, and this survey was built, I believe, in 2017. There's a great book that was sent out on just a regular type of psychology part of how to break up your phone from your phone back in 2018. The New York Times was writing about it, so they did a bunch of surveys, and there was a lot of groups going in 2016, 2017, and really looking at the issue with their phone. 60 Minutes did a special around that time on phone addiction and the dangers, especially for teenagers. You'll find different articles. Now there's a lot more articles on cell phone usage, how it affects parenting, one for the parent and the children, because you have more generations of parents that are growing up with the use of cell phone and then parenting with that same practice. Where others may say, well, yeah, I had kids and then I got the phone, yeah, I can understand the struggle. Now they're realizing for those that kind of grew up as a teen with that smartphone, how parenting looks and what their struggles are compared to maybe those of past generations. A lot of things when studying, when I Googled, hey, cell phone addiction, and you talk about pages worth of just, hey, if you need help, you call this line. Go check yourself into this clinic. There's a whole lot on cell phone addiction. Some of the stats we look at today, the average time on a phone in a day, the average person, 2 hours and 54 minutes. The average times your phone is checked in a day is 344 times. The math there is once every 4 minutes. 74% of Americans feel uneasy leaving their phone at home. 74%. It's a lot of different surveys, but this number seemed like it was repeating some others, what they were doing in their studies. Here's one. 48% of people say they feel a sense of panic or anxiety when their cell phone battery goes below 20%. You ever see those people, like, walking around like, hey, you got a cell phone charger? You got a cell phone charger? I need a cell phone charger. You got a cell phone charger? You're like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like when you go to the airport, everybody's hovering around the plug-in spot, right? Because the thing is, now planes have, like, you can plug your phone in while you're watching a movie or anything, but then they realize when they get off the plane, oh man, my phone's about to die. Because they just used it up for like 3 straight hours of streaming videos or something. Can you imagine a high percentage of people say, not that I left my phone, but I'm below 20% on battery, I'm filled with anxiety. It causes me to laugh and chuckle a little bit, but for some of us, you might say, ooh, that's kind of real. The phone wasn't created, especially the iPhone wasn't created because they said we needed it. It was something that said this would be great for us to use, but now I think it's become something that we need. Thus, you can have anxiety. Thus, you can be too enslaved to your phone because it's now ingrained in us of something that, especially as an adult, that you have to have. It's on your person. I was just talking with AJ. When I leave a place, I tap both pockets. All right, I got a wallet in my front right pocket and my keys. That's one. I got my cell phone in my left pocket. You ever do the pocket check and it's like, all right, I got my stuff. I'm good to go. All right, I don't have rhythm. I'm not trying to do a step or anything. I got my stuff. I'm moving. And it's just automatic. If I'm exiting my car or leaving a building, so I didn't forget anything. So those are some usage stats that we need to, for some of you, when we answer that, you're going, okay, why do we go through that survey? So let's not kid ourselves. We all have to know how to use our phone wisely and what's happening to us because we live in a digital time where everything is at our fingertips. They used to think, and you'd see in like even TV shows or sitcoms, the phone to the cell phone used to be a huge brick, and everybody thought it would just become a tiny thing they could just implant in your ear. It got smaller and smaller, and then we said, let's make the phone a computer so that everybody's got to have a big screen on it. And so now it's not just something we communicate with, it's something we socialize with, and we can have quick interaction. If I'm looking at my phone right now, because I play fantasy football, I've got like 50 alerts about my team that I need to check before the 1 o'clock kickoff, right? It's just my phone is letting me know. And yes, I do a lot with fantasy football, but my goodness, you got that app? It's almost like as if my life would change if I found out somebody all of a sudden was scratched and I get them started in my lineup. But it knows I use that app and it tells me. It's ingrained in what I do. Tony Reinke put in a book, hopefully I say his last name correct, back in 2018, I believe, a book called 12 Ways Our Phones Are Changing Us. 12 Ways Our Phones Are Changing Us. He works and writes a lot as an editor through Desiring God. And I want to run through. You can go a lot longer. Obviously, I recommend reading his book. But as he points out, 12 ways that our phones have changed us. Maybe all of these are true about you, maybe most. But just to think about you and your family, look at these 12 ways it has changed us. Number one, we are addicted to distraction. Checking our phones at an alarming rate, and I gave you that number 344 times in a day, distracting us from God, life, and the world around us. Cell phones are great to use if you need a phone on the quick or a Bible on the quick. But have you found it sometimes hard when you get updates when using your phone for the Bible in the church service? I know I have. If I've kind of left my Bible like in my car or if it's in the backpack in the office, I'm like, all right, I'm keeping with Seth. Fantasy alert. It can distract you. Anytime there's like a lull in a public gathering, or even if you're at a restaurant and you see that the food hasn't gotten there yet, we want to easily be distracted from waiting by looking at through our phone. Phones, even more now, are a way of escape or distraction. With parenting, even for those that are full-time homemakers, a struggle that has been recently recorded and they're working on, seeing that phone as an escape from whatever reality that day has. Sometimes that can be a struggle. I need to be distracted. My kids are in pain right now. It's a little overwhelming, and they're on their phones. And it's almost like, hey, my pacifier, I just gave the one kid the pacifier for me to kind of calm. I'm either playing Candy Crush, watching my thing, or I need to vent on social media. If we're even younger generations of parents, let me take a video and show you something that maybe I could quickly take light, and it becomes therapeutic to quickly get to the phone because it's distracting us from reality, from life. And it can be dangerous enough that we're so addicted to our phone, especially in younger generations, that you're not learning even good habits on daily meeting with the Lord, reading his word and praying. Sometimes it's quick and easy for us. Hey, if the kid's got his downtime, he's on his phone. Let me encourage you, parents. When you want your kid to be in the word, just literally get them a physical word to do it. If they got a cell phone or a tablet, that's cool, but it's more like in a pinch. The physical words, the distractions are less. Number two, on the 12 ways, we ignore flesh and blood in preference to our smartphones. We ignore flesh and blood in preference to our smartphones. Seth touched on this when he taught nowadays with how the house has changed. Remember, you talked about the living room and the family room. It was a gathering. We're all there. A lot of times, everybody, when they go home, they hit their separate rooms, separate parts of their house. I remember I used to do a lot of door knocking when I was younger and then through my college years. And I was convinced door knocking is less efficient Because when you hit the door nowadays, everybody's shouting at each other from across the house on who's here. Dad might be watching the news. Mom's busy doing some of the kitchen or the dining area on an iPad. You got 3 kids in different rooms of the house. And if I came in to tell you about Noblesville Baptist Church, I hit the doorbell. If you're quiet enough, you could hear them all going, "Who's home? Who's home? Who's home? Did you got somebody coming? You didn't tell me?" And it's not maybe rewind 20 years ago where they're all there and they might go, "Oh, cool, we got a neighbor coming down the street. Let's see if we, what's happening." So now when they open that door and you're about to invite them to church, you've already annoyed them by hitting the door because nobody should be coming because we're all in our little peaceful fiefdoms and they're at the house and you just disrupted the peace. It's hard nowadays without how everything's built. And to have peace and quiet, because maybe from your long work day, you're stressed, you're tired. It's easier for everybody to just kind of escape via a smartphone or a tablet and ignore each other as you kind of exhale from the day. Number 3, we crave the immediate approval that likes provide via social media. Even when you're watching the Netflix documentary, I just forgot the name of it. It came to me. That's it. They even tell you, man, we just thought it would be nice for someone to hit you a thumbs up. So on that documentary, Social Dilemma, people that help build your social apps, now they look at it as it's dangerous. It becomes addicting. It's caused people to spiral into depression, to commit suicide over the amount of likes and views you may have. If you follow me on social media, yesterday I posted, because I was at my Noble coffee shop, and whenever one of the owners, Robin, is there, and she sees my order come through, she always seems to write something pretty cool there, mess with it, and she wrote Mike, and then S, and cool, Kewl. And before you think, I think she's married, so don't think I've got an opportunity there. I saw some of your eyes. You're just like, she ran on your phone. That's a whole nother teaching class. You just don't think the public speaker sees y'all's faces. Some of y'all were like, I need to follow up on Mike. But I posted. I just throw it out there. I mean, the only time I come alive really posting is fantasy football season. I got the little video of me and my brothers. We joke. It's the only time all 3 of us will communicate with each other is like that night. If you see the 3 of our faces, we'll talk for 25 minutes before we start recording. I was like, man, you're doing good. It's the 3 of us on video. And then we record, and then we do a little post. But especially younger generations, when they post on things like Instagram, if they got TikTok, probably still Snapchat, things like that, they are driven to see how many likes they can get. I mean, kids nowadays will ask their parents for Christmas to get a halo light. He said, Mike, what's a halo light? I use it when I record film for myself because I have dark features and I don't want to look like I'm in a cave. You put your cell phone in the middle, and around there in the circle is a light that comes right at you. It helps make sure it brightens up. It's really good if you got to record videos. Kids now want that for TikTok purposes. They will set up the tripod with that, and then they just start hitting the dance. And they got to make sure the lighting's good. So you go to Amazon, you're spending $25 on a halo light. That's what the kid wants. Why? Because it's an accessory to their cell phone and their social media. You can become addicted. It is very, very dangerous. I warn you, parents, especially with teenagers, even more if you have girls. When it comes to getting driven by likes and views and comments, cyberbullying now is something that's really you don't have as much control over if you're a parent and you give your kid a phone. Teachers used to be able to tell you who's bullying who. They can't. Because they can do more damage to your kid on social media than face them in the hallway or in the classroom and make fun of them. I can make your life terrible by the way I might respond to things or talk about you and different things you do on these social media sites. But it is a problem with the whole likes or views things because your kids are learning to become their own brand. It's not really to socialize and get to know people, it's becoming a brand. And all of a sudden their brand is hitting low and they tie that to their self-worth. It keeps dropping lower and lower and lower. Again, that documentary, The Social Dilemma, really exposes that. Moving on, we are losing literacy and the ability to follow long flows of thought. That is true. That is true. Social media and everything you're hitting on the internet, it's got to be quicker to read, quicker to see. With the church plant, I'm diving in to looking at different stuff about how you have to position your website, how to use social media. You know, Hack and Foley, they just like, Mike, you got the social media part. Foley works in IT, but he'd rather throw a computer across the room. And since I've been here, Hack always texts me, hey, can you post this on the church Facebook page? I mean, he could hit the app and post, but Tab, all right? We get the young guns, hey, use the social media. So I get tasked with that, and I'm looking and I'm reading it through. Man, there's strategies on how you use that, strategies how you use it as a church plant, be able to reach a different part of the community that may be unchurched, how to use social media. But the thing is, you got to keep everything short and succinct. It's got to keep moving. You got a video as a church, the magic formula for any social media brander would tell you it's got to be less than a minute. If it's more than a minute, nobody's going to watch the whole thing through. Stats are, they can tell you how long it's being viewed. That's why they come up with a minute. Very few people will be dedicated to watch a 3-minute video. But if you're trying to catch newcomers and things like that, keep it under a minute. Keep your blurb short. But what's the fallout? Literacy. I could quick watch a video, read it quickly through a blog, or even if it comes to a theologian or somebody, a pastor that we like, we get it in bite-sized chunks. But gone are the days if I'm going to buy his book and read his full argument and his thoughts and then decide. I'm just catching snippets. And sometimes these snippets put us in the wrong position to either be all in with this dude or hate him like he's the worst person ever. We're just getting snippets. You're not reading a whole dissertation. You just got a snippet because it works. It works, it works, it works. But it affects the way that we have our literacy. People can't spell nowadays. People don't know syntax or even complete sentences because you don't need that in a cell phone age. Bothers me at times. I'm like, man, just take 10 seconds to proofread what you just wrote. Just 10 seconds. I love watching sports, big sports nerd. But I'm more and more convinced I don't think professional athletes, when they went to college, actually went to class, okay? Because you read some of this stuff and I'm like, there's not a use of a period or a comma or a semicolon or a capitalization or even correct spelling. And you want me to discern what you just tweeted. But it's more than cell phone time. Even if you got into class, people are going like, all right, yeah, the English teacher covered that, but my daily practice is cell phone. It's hard. We feed on the produced, fantasized images of life, staging our own experiences to produce an inflated image to others. This is huge. It affects, again, maybe more of the younger adults and teens, but even young families. You walk around, I got to take 8 takes, make it look really nice on my cell phone when I post, like with the family. Sometimes it's not just the quick, hey, this is what it is. You got people that are working on position and lighting with it, and they got like 18 filters to go through. Because you know what? If I'm grabbing that cup of coffee, I'm going to look really good doing it. I mean, it's built in. So we're addicted to those things. They're all about that. You're even having people getting plastic surgery based on a filter in Instagram or TikTok or whatever. I am not joking. They will show the doctor that I love using this filter. It makes me look really pretty. Please do that to my face, permanently. Based on a filter. We become like what we like, dwelling on things we never knew we wanted until they were presented to us. That was very convicting to me. I have bought things just because they kept throwing ads my way. I don't, social media and the internet knows I have a beard. All right, how many things you see on that? Like I don't remember anywhere I set on my, dating profile or whatever, very handsome with a nice long beard, and that got sent. No, social media is not the product. Social media is a medium to customers that are advertisers. You are the product of social media. So once they know what I like, man, there's things that come directly for me that may never come directly for you. And you don't even have to click. While moving on your phone, you pause. They got you. It just works that way. How many of you gone Christmas shopping is going to be worse when you're online? Because you look at a few things for family members, then you go to other websites, and then they're everywhere. The sidebars, in the middle, and you're going, I already bought the hat for my brother. I already got the shoes. But you're going to see it for now. They're going to keep pushing stuff. But we have purchased things. We have dwelled on things that maybe before that we've never really cared much for. And so it could be items that we would technically be fake news. It could be things that are just going to be an attack on what you need. It looks like it's something you need, but it becomes an addictive habit. It becomes something you waste money and time on. That before use of any part of your phone, you never really put much thought to. And so we can be consumed and things are added to us without us really thinking everything through. I know for me, purchase some items I just see, sometimes t-shirts. I'm like, oh, that's a cool shirt. I just saw that on my social media feed. All right, bought the shirt. It could be just something as simple as easy as that. And so those are ways the phone has changed us. Number 7, we become lonely as we use our smartphones for semi-personal interactions through apps or to simply block out the world around us. We become lonely as we use our smartphones for semi-personal interactions through apps or to simply block out the world around us. There's a generation here that y'all want a phone call. There's another generation here within us like, don't call me first. How dare you call me first? Text me. And then we can decide if it takes a phone call. I'm not joking. There's some people, you got to call because they'd rather talk on the phone, and that tends to be those of an older variety. Then there's those that are younger, that they get a phone call first, and they're like, someone die? Well, no. Well, why in the world did you just call me? Shoot me a text, man. Yeah, that's why I ignored Lomax most times. I'm just kidding. But it's true. Like, you get certain things, like people interact with you, but we become lonelier. You may have a whole lot of friends on social media. I technically have over 2,000 plus friends on Facebook. Yeah, I know, I'm really popular. But if you track me, I'm an introvert, socially, I keep to myself, ask my roommates. I could just be hungry in my room for 3 days straight and never come on out. Jonathan texted me last night, hey man, I got some pizza. I got to it at 10 o'clock after you were gone. I was just watching football. I can be alone a lot, that's me, but sometimes the cell phone helps us do that. And it can be a very negative thing, where people are more comfortable interacting with you on my terms and at my pace and at my rate via cell phone, and we become lonelier, and we know how to block the world out. That's not healthy, but it's the way it's changed us. We get comfortable in secret vices, sins that are easily accessed and easily hidden by our smartphones. We get comfortable in our secret vices, our sins. Pornography now, nobody's going to the store and buying a magazine. No one's going on pay-per-view from their TV to watch something pornographic. Very few nowadays would access using a laptop. It's on your cell phone. Why the cell phone now? Because it's way more private, a lot more secretive in accessing pornography. You don't got to worry about somebody sneaking around you all of a sudden finding you at the house on TV or the computer screen. It's on your cell phone. Pornography through the cell phone is, and especially if you have any teenager, boy or girl. It used to be the time we just talked about young boys. Man, if they get that, they're going to get, no. Even girls, more nowadays, even with smartphones, addicted to pornography, able to secretly access it with their phone. But other secret devices people have, the way they could be overly addicted to it, maybe even certain things they want to see or talk about that feeds maybe their pleasure in other different ways, vices that you may not want other people to know. Hey, those secret vices through my smartphone I can access. It can be time consumers. It could be terrible things that are therapy to somebody as a way to escape, but I can do it secretly through my phone. Before, we'd worry about younger generations, when I was a teen, whatever, you're texting too much on the phone. You're on the phone too much. You remember the time when you had the landline and somebody called, you're like, you better make that phone call short because I'm expecting a call or whatnot. But now you can get more of those secret devices taken care of through the phone. And parents, you're maybe unaware because it's peace and quiet in your house right now. They're on their cell phone. We lose meaning as the quantity of needless information available makes it difficult to access quality or needed information. Guys, we just came through the time of fake news. We're still in it. Social media news is dangerous because it's tailored to you. It's not going to be unbiased. A lot of times they know what you like. They're coming after you with different things that are just geared that way. That's why we live in such a polarizing time, too, where people hate each other because if social media is your only outlet via your phone, sometimes you're only fed one thing. Now you have to be really academic to be able to read something maybe on both sides and actually chew through a thought. Instead, we know what we have and it's feeding to us, and I'm just going to be fed that, and it could be wrong, it could be right, but man, nowadays it's hard to even know. With more things being exposed about how you're targeted via social media. We have FOMO. We fear on missing out on things, on an affirmation. When your phone buzzes, all of a sudden if it's across the room and you hear it, you're going, you got like that twitch. Somebody might, is that for me? I got the like. We fear missing out. I got my Apple Watch here, news happens all the time, and it kind of throws you off because you don't want to miss out. I remember at work the other day, NFL trade deadline, I'm seeing it, something buzz, and I just kind of scroll. Normally I scroll, nobody knows. And then all of a sudden, audibly, I'm just like, what? And then like 3 people in the office like, you okay? I was like, oh, sorry. A trade just went down I wasn't expecting. But even myself, I get these alerts because I don't want to miss out. And some people, the fear of missing out is also, especially on the things that are geared toward likes and views, they want to make sure they see the affirmation and they get it quick and they can see somebody go, man, that's awesome, you look great. And we have a fear of missing out more now. We become harsh, letting out our frustrations with others in very public ways. That is very true nowadays. We have become very harsh in how we interact with people because I don't have to see you face to face. I don't have to fear you punching me. So I can be much more brutal in my communication about you or to you via a cell phone. You can even do that with your kids or with your spouse texting on a phone. And you may feel a little more courageous to be that much filthier or saltier, quick comeback in, and you're put down because it's via a text. Of course, we went through the time where everybody's an expert on social media. Thus, if you quickly disagree with me, you're an idiot. We're harsh. We can't have conversations. We can't be okay with the guy sitting across from me that I disagree with and actually have a conversation. I quickly need to demonize you and hate you and tear you down. Cell phone age. It's so much easier to do that today than it used to be in public. And we lose our place in time and get lost in a vague sea of instant access material. It's like that question. We can lose so much time Went on our phone, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, I gotta go do something. Oh, I forgot something here. So those are 12 ways phones have changed us. It's not a questionnaire if you're doing it. It's just, to his research, and this was done in 2018. I don't know what 2022 looks like, coming out of a time when we were work from home, lockdown, schools were kind of closed for a good bit, how much even more that has changed. So how does this affect us? As a man or as an individual, are we hooked? Are we enslaved to our phones? Hey guys, just be honest and reflect upon some of these things. Man, am I really hooked? Does it have me? Just you as a man, teenager, single adult, married man, grandfather, all together, assess yourself. And it's okay if you think it's got its hooks in me. Because let me tell you, I think it's got the hooks in mostly all of us. There's very few people that can say, hey, it doesn't really have any hooks in me. Husband, how has this affected your marriage? With the harsh words, secret vices, the way you communicate. Yeah, you might be watching your favorite show together at 8:30 at night after you put the kids away, but you're both on separate cell phones with something in the background just filling noise. There's not actual communication going back and forth. Father, are your kids competing with your phone for your time? I read a couple weeks ago, a pastor out in Virginia was speaking with a family counselor. He's saying, hey, what's the big thing right now facing younger families? The counselor told him the cell phone. He thought the response would be, oh, screen time for kids, things like that. He goes, no, mom and dad are on their phones too much. Kids are ignored. Kids are not being nurtured and developed the correct way because mom and dad are on their phones. Kids starting to act out, get more attention because they got to get dad's attention from this. Yeah, good. To, oh, you want to have a conversation with me? Also, as fathers and leaders of your home, when it comes to the use of a cell phone in your children, has become something that it runs really the home and the life of your kid? Has it had the negative impacts when it comes to the sins that can be accessed so easily with the cell phone? But even, has it affected the way you communicate? Has it affected the way you really are together? The phone can be very dangerous. So reflect on that. It has changed us. You know, for the parents, let me just encourage you, as much as possible, if you can't, I would recommend, if anybody asked me, in my not so long time working with teens, okay, what do you think cell phones and teens? I would just tell you, no. I would scream, no. So here's the thing. When it comes to these technologies nowadays, your kids are smarter than you. Yes, they are dumb in other things. They might be idiots about other stuff you wish they would improve on. But when it comes to getting what they want with the cell phone access, those kids are actually smarter than you. You're behind 2 steps. You're not ahead, and you might have a great day if you think you're even, sometimes with technology. I'm a little sarcastic, but there is some truth in it. Teenagers with cell phones nowadays can be very dangerous. One is social media. The other part is they're addicted to it. Your brain's not fully developed till you get to about your early 20s. So imagine you're 15 and you have a cell phone, and all of a sudden at that time, you're becoming addicted to a cell phone, and your brain's not even fully developed yet. They are now beginning to try to study the effects on children when it comes to phones and tablets. Is there too much screen time and things that's happening that's going to affect them? Is there a correlation between them becoming a drug addict or an alcoholic or something else because they've already got addictive personality over a cell phone at 14 or 15? You say, my kid's got a cell phone. Then you really got to be on it. Be the mean parent. Be uncool. Be unpopular. Because you'd rather them in that moment see than hate you. than you be on the other end crying and wondering why when something tragic happens and someone tells you it may have started on their cell phone. Addiction happens at a younger age. I don't know if anybody here, if you got even younger children with cell phones, I'm seeing it. There's a rise now when kids are roughly 10 years old, they'll get a phone. They just play games. Games now are built with social components, so predators will access or get access to 10, 11, and 12-year-olds through playing a game. They will start messaging them. They will pretend they're like another kid, gain trust, groom them. Law enforcement, FBI, there are articles you can read that show the dangers of allowing even your 10-year-old to play what you think is an innocent game on your phone for long periods of time, and you don't know a predator is coming after them. So even for that alone, I would be like, nah, kid, sorry. You're not having a phone. It's shocking. 4th and 5th graders now with cell phones. I don't know who you got to call. You're always with mom and dad. You got wheels. But be careful of that. Restrict the time, put softwares on it, but even be able to say this, hey, that's cool, you're going to sleep tonight? Give me your phone. Guys, my glasses here have blue light blockers, so I work in front of screens today. My cell phone has a cover on it, screen protector, has blue light blocking. Even for your health, they find out you got to put your phone away an hour before you decide to go to sleep, because if you're constantly here, blue light filtering from computer screens, tablets, and phones can affect your brain or not let you get to a restful state in order to fall asleep. Yet, you're like, all right, go home, or you go to your room and they're on their cell phones, and then you're wondering why they have a hard time waking up at a decent time in the morning, or they always feel tired. Even just straight health reasons. Take the phone. They don't need to be calling or texting anybody past 9 o'clock. They don't need an alarm clock to wake up. You just wake up and turn the lights on. Get up. Here's your phone. For yourself, when you get home, do you need to start going, family time, I'm putting the phone away, and I'm putting it in a drawer. I have learned if I want to really be able to get an answer from Jonathan Tapp, I've got to get it when he's still in office mode. Because at times, I'll be like, I got no answer. And he'll text me later like, sorry, man, I was the kids. I was like, it's been 3 hours, man. I don't have an answer, you know. I got the fear of missing out. I'm just like, give me an answer. And it's never anything that important. But even we talk our conversation, hey, I gotta try to put my phone away. That'd be really cool, especially all of you with children. People just know, oh man, I did not catch you during your business hours because it's dinner and, well, I'm not gonna be able to ask you a question between now and maybe the next morning because you're like, I'm done. Set those healthy parameters for the sake of your family as you're raising your children, but for you and your wife, especially for those that are the younger couples. You may have came up with more and more use of the cell phone, and it's normal, but the normal could be very dangerous in the habits that you're building. Time's running out. You can go even more into the phone and the dangers of the phone, but I wanted to accomplish one. Let us realize the phones have changed us. Take the silly survey and go, oh my goodness, I may have to pause and reflect. If you're married, go ask your spouse about how they think you use your smartphone. And be open to take on the criticism. That may help you a whole lot at home by talking to your wife. Maybe even asking your kids, what do they think about you with your cell phone? Maybe your kid all of a sudden, a 5-year-old goes, you're always on it. And it may be the piercing shot through your heart going, oh, I'm going to stop. First thing I said about my phone is my 5-year-old going, Daddy's always on his phone. That's their impression of you. Do that and quietly reflect and think when we get back to like, hey, whatever you do to the glory of God, is my phone being used as a tool to the glory of God, or is it becoming something that's a hindrance to me being a good husband, a good father, a good Christian to the glory of God? Let's pray. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity just to speak on the smartphone. So much you can cover on that, and I know we've covered different topics throughout this whole time together on the home. Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to share this. Be with us as we go our separate ways. May we shine as heralders of the gospel to our community and beyond. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.